Hello and welcome back to SJ Weekly, and welcome back to the channel. I'm back, guys. It is very good to see all of you here again. Special thanks to the Britisher for letting me do the show on his channel while I was gone, and a very special thanks to all of you guys, either in the comments sections or on Twitter, who tried to get me back on YouTube, who rooted for me, and who welcomed me back yesterday during my 18-second I'm back video. And I must be doing something right, because there are a lot of the angry usual suspects in my Twitter mentions right now. So we're on the right track, guys. During the 2-week vacation, one of the things I did was I went home and visited my parents. We did an early Christmas. And one of the gifts that I got was a set of cold brew coffees, different brews. So I guess I'll be drinking those for a while. What a cold brew coffee is, if you don't know, is they take the coffee grounds, put it in cold water, and they just let it sit there for like a day and let it kind of cold brew up. And then they drain the grounds out, and then you have coffee. So this is the hazelnut coffee. Let's give it a shot. It's a bit stronger than regular hazelnut coffee, it seems. I've heated it up so it's still like a regular cup of coffee. It's a bit stronger. The hazelnut comes through a bit more. It's not bad though. I don't know if I'd drink it every day, but it's pretty good. Let's begin this week with Muslim Amazon workers say they don't have enough time to pray. Now they're fighting for their rights. East African immigrant workers in Minneapolis are rallying for fair treatment. Whoever wins, we lose, I guess. You know, you're in Minneapolis, right? Holding a sign in your native language probably won't help that much. Somali community members in Minneapolis rallied against Amazon in July 2018 for allegedly firing a Muslim worker who slowed down during Ramadan. See, this is what I mean when I say whoever wins, we lose, because Amazon is legitimately a shitty company. They really mistreat their workers. However, I don't like the idea of special rights being carved out for small subsections of the population and only them. As a practicing Muslim, Ibrahim tries to pray 5 times a day. But because Amazon has the warehouse associates working on a strict hourly packing quota, she says she cannot take a prayer break. Well, keep in mind that the Quran not only says to pray 5 times a day, but that women can't work outside of the house. So what are you doing working at Amazon? Associates are pressured to make rate, with the rate number increasing and decreasing depending on the season's demand. The warehouse's current packing rate is 240 boxes an hour, Ibrahim says, but it's gone as high as 400. Associates are penalized if they fall behind this rate. They can get a write-up from a manager if they're too slow, which can lead them to being terminated. And this is what I mean by it being a shit job, you know? Sometimes, for literally peanuts, companies expect the world out of their employees. You know, Walmart's another egregious example of this. Ibrahim usually chooses to pray during her timed breaks. Breaks make our rate slow down, and we get risk of getting fired, and so most of the time we choose prayer over bathroom, and have learned to balance our bodily needs. And that's another piece of bullshit. Yeah, you should be able to go to the washroom whenever you have to go. Like, sometimes these companies are just ridiculous. Ibrahim, who works a 12-hour night shift from 5:30 p.m. to 6 a.m., says she's worked about 20 different jobs since moving to the U.S. as a 16-year-old in 2004. Those jobs include working a fishing boat in the middle of the ocean off the coast of Alaska, cleaning Chicago's O'Hare Airport, and packing at a Target warehouse. Her current job at Amazon, she says, has been her hardest. I understand that Amazon can be pretty shit, and I'm not necessarily saying that it's not hard, but I have a hard time believing that working on a fishing boat isn't harder. Like, fishermen, they do some pretty rough jobs, man. And I gotta say, if this is so terrible, why don't you switch jobs again? You're obviously okay with switching jobs. I mean, you've done it many times. 20 different jobs in the past, 14 years, 15 years? With that many job switches, maybe the problem is that you can't hold a job down. And she says, I want to keep this job to provide for my family, and I'm also working as hard as I can, but you can't live under this type of pressure. The way Amazon pushes people is not moral. In a statement to Vox, an Amazon spokesperson touted the facility's excellent pay and comprehensive benefits. Well, I mean, maybe the facility does have excellent pay and comprehensive benefits, and that's why they push people. Maybe the facility doesn't have that, and therefore Amazon is just complete shit. But nonetheless, if you're a Muslim woman, again, why are you providing for your family? That's not within the tenets of your religion. Ibrahim says the workers are asking to be treated humanely, calling on Amazon to display racial and cultural sensitivity. Those are two different things. To be treated humanely is one thing. Yes, fair pay for fair work. Don't overwork people into the fucking grave. Provide reasonable breaks. But racial and cultural sensitivity is outside of that. That's something different entirely. Because you don't have time to pray 5 times a day, that's not based on your race or ethnicity. It is based on your religion, but the problem would be your religion, not necessarily the workplace. Amazon made changes that mainly dealt with issues around practicing Islam. Oh boy. Muslim Amazon workers had no place to pray in the warehouse, and they complained about not being able to keep up with the job during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, where they fast until sundown. Well, is there a church inside an Amazon warehouse? Do they provide that shit too? Amazon responded by creating a dedicated prayer space, I'm sure, and said it has been working to make shifts more manageable during Ramadan. But employees complain that these moves are like band-aids that address small issues without tackling the larger problems. What do you mean? In my opinion, these are ridiculous things to do, but they directly address the problem. What more could you want than this? They give you a dedicated prayer room, and then they ease up on your quotas during Ramadan. That's literally what you asked for. During Ramadan, employees have the right to use PTO, personal time off, unpaid time off, or vacation time if they have time available in their account. They have to use those banked time allotments for religious holidays, giving them less time than their non-Muslim co-workers to take off for when their kids are sick. You don't think that Christians take time off sometimes? You don't think there might be a Christian working for Amazon who takes Sundays off to go to church? You don't think there might be a Christian who works for Amazon who takes time around Christmas and Easter off? Unless you're comparing yourself to atheist, in which case you have a point, but that is what you choose when you follow a religion. If you want time set aside, you have to have time set aside, and it is entirely fair that you have an equal amount of time set aside. You're just choosing to use it for religious purposes. Amazon said, "We work hard every day to ensure all of our employees are treated fairly and with dignity and respect, including here in Minnesota, where we have an open and direct dialogue with employees. Amazon offers a great employment opportunity with excellent pay, ranging from $16.25 an hour to $20.80 an hour, that's American, and comprehensive benefits including healthcare, up to 20 weeks parental leave, paid education, promotional opportunities, and more. We encourage anyone to compare our pay, benefits, and workplace to other retailers and major employers in the community and across the country. We invite anyone to see for themselves and take a tour through our fulfillment center tour program." Well, there you go. I mean, that's not super amazing pay, but it's certainly better than average. And it's just for packing boxes. Regarding its prayer breaks, Amazon told the author of this article that prayer breaks less than 20 minutes are paid, and productivity expectations are not adjusted for such breaks. Associates are welcome to request an unpaid prayer break for over 20 minutes, for which productivity expectations would be adjusted. That sounds fair. There's obviously the possibility that Amazon might be lying here, but if they're not, they seem like they're doing an alright job already. Ibrahim also says that until recently, nearly all Amazon managers in the warehouse were white, which contributed to the culture gap many African workers perceive in the facility. Oh, okay. Everything up until now has mentioned Islam, but now suddenly we're talking about white people. It's gone from religion to race. I don't want to sound like an Amazon apologist here because I know that there's actually a lot wrong with Amazon, but I think this racial, religious hodgepodge complaint is not the place to go with these protests. But speaking of religion, God wrongfully impregnated teenage Virgin Mary without consent, says Minnesota professor. He's not wrong, I guess. Virgin birth story is unethical abuse of power at best and grossly predatory at worst.
A Minnesota State University professor tweeted this week that Mary the Virgin could not have consented to the conception of Christ and that God was behaving, therefore, in a, quote, predatory manner. That professor, whose salary is paid for by taxpayers, also tweeted himself decorating a Christmas tree with satanic ornaments. Have you taken any of his classes, Mark Steyn?
No, and the reason is this is the thing that this is because 50 years ago, this kind of shallow banality would have been the province of a drunk undergraduate at 3 in the morning. I mean, basically, the idea that God has gotten the Virgin Mary back to his pad, and she's saying, "I really must go," and he's saying, "Oh, baby, it's cold outside, and put some records on while I pour." I miss the days when atheists were at least intelligent enough to take seriously what they were purporting to knock down.
I mean, I don't really care about the satanic ornaments on your tree. Do whatever you want, but this is really stupid, isn't it? This professor wrote, "The virgin birth story is about an all-knowing, all-powerful deity impregnating a human teen." Was Mary a teen? I mean, she might have been. It was the ancient times, right? But whatever. There is no definition of consent that would include that scenario. Happy holidays. He later added, "The biblical God regularly punished disobedience. The power difference, deity versus mortal, and the potential for violence for saying no negates her yes. To put someone in this position is an unethical abuse of power at best and grossly predatory at worst." The problem is not necessarily with what he's saying, because I guess factually, if we're going just strictly with what he said, he's correct. However, what he's missing is that you cannot judge yesterday by today's morals. There are various figures who lived throughout human history that, by today's standards, would be considered immoral people, certainly, but by their own standards, they were paragons of virtue. And that's because, just like any other form of advancement, whether it's technological or artistic, advances in politics and philosophy also take time, and you can't really judge somebody living in the past for not living up to today's standards. They had no concept of liberalism. Some of them, if you go back far enough, there were no concept of universal human rights. So to take a religious tale that was set in an era 2,000 years ago and judge it by today's morality is just stupidity. However, there's a link in the middle of this article that says Nebraska principal bans candy canes because the shape is a J for Jesus. Let's see what that's all about. The J shape stands for Jesus, according to the Blaze, but that was just for starters. Also on the naughty list were Christmas carols, Christmas music, and making Christmas ornaments as gifts. You know, I never really liked candy canes. There are like strawberry flavored ones that are pretty okay, but the normal ones are just eh. A Nebraska elementary school principal named Jennifer Sinclair gave out this list of things that were not allowed at Manchester Elementary School in Omaha. Santas or Christmas items on worksheets, Christmas trees in the classrooms, elf on the shelf, singing Christmas carols, playing Christmas music, sending a scholastic book that is a Christmas book, making a Christmas ornament as a gift, candy canes. Historically, the shape is a J for Jesus, the red is for the blood of Christ, and the white is a symbol of his resurrection. Is that actually what a candy cane's all about? I don't know. Red and green items. So nothing in red and green. Those are just off-limit colors. Reindeer, Christmas videos, movies, or characters from Christmas movies. So just no Christmas. It's gone. Sinclair, who's in her first year as Manchester's principal, noted in the memo that she comes from a place that Christmas and the like are not allowed in schools, and that as a public school, Manchester Elementary will seek to be inclusive and culturally sensitive to all of our students. Make sure those students know to celebrate their generic winter holiday. And actually, I think her list of acceptable practices kind of reinforced that idea. Gifts are okay. Making gifts are okay. Snowmen, snow women, snow people, snowflakes. I'm pretty sure the principal is a fucking snowflake. Gingerbread people, not gingerbread men. According to the, what was it? Was it Scotland that recently outlawed gingerbread men in favor of gingerbread people? Holidays around the world. Except not Christmas, apparently. I know that, Christmas is celebrated around the world. There are Christians around the world, but I guess they don't count. Sledding is good. Hot chocolate. Polar bears. Penguins. Scarves, boots, earmuffs. Wait, hold on. Penguins. They're in the South Pole, not the North. Scarves, boots, earmuffs, and hats. You don't want them to freeze. You can't ban those or else the kids will start dying. Yetis and Olaf from Frozen. It does seem like sanity has prevailed, though, because Liberty Council sent a demand letter to the superintendent about the Christmas ban, urging it to immediately overrule and specifically disavow the sweeping directive banning Christmas holiday items. And the district's response to Liberty Counsel said that it had investigated the matter and determined that Principal Sinclair's memorandum did not comply with board policy. And the update shows that the principal has issued an apology, so I guess all's right in the world. I'm not even a Christian, right? But I cannot deny the cultural significance that Christmas has in Western society. I'm not even talking about the religious significance, and I'm sure for religious people there is a great religious significance. But for non-religious people to simply celebrate Christmas as a secular holiday, that shouldn't be taken away from them. Western nations do have a culture all to their own, just like every other nation does, and we should not be ashamed of it. We certainly shouldn't think that ours is somehow superior to others, but we shouldn't be okay with it simply being washed away in the name of political correctness. Here's some more school nonsense from our old friends over at Breitbart. Germany launches How to Identify Nazi Parents Guide for Schools. I can see Germany doing this, honestly. They're very Nazi-phobic, and frankly, I don't blame them considering what happened. However, a new booklet for daycare workers that claims to help identify Nazi parents suggests looking out for girls with braided hair and athletic boys. That's all it takes to be a Nazi nowadays, guys. If your little girl has her hair braided, her parents are a Nazi, and she's being raised to be a Nazi. If the little boy is athletic, if he likes to run around or play a sport at school, Nazi. People have labeled this booklet that's been handed out as parenting espionage, or spying on parents. And the booklet has been criticized because it identifies the way children dress or how much physical activity they participate in as being potential signs that their parents might be Nazis. The criticism that does not fit in with democracy. It very clearly does not fit in with fucking democracy. You can't say, unless they're wearing a fucking, actual like an actual Nazi uniform, and even then there are reasons to wear actual Nazi uniforms that don't make you a Nazi, believe it or not. But how people dress and how much physical activity they participate in, really, that's what makes you a Nazi. You're going to be a weightlifter, you're a Nazi. You're going to be a professional sports star, you're a Nazi. The foundation that put out these booklets defended it by claiming that the case studies were based on real-life cases they had witnessed, including a girl with braided hair whose parents turned out to be far-right extremists. This does not mean that all girls with braided hair are going to have parents that are far-right extremists. This is some D&D causes satanic panic shit, alright? This is some video games cause school shooters, gamers rise up, bottom text, actually shit. The case studies echo research presented by Antifa groups in 2016, which claimed that Volkscht families, those who believe in countryside living and traditional German culture and values, posed a threat to Germany. Anti-fascist action group member Olaf Meyer warned of young couples who buy farms and restore them together with their relatives and friends. Yeah, this is Nazism, guys. This is it. You buy a fixer-upper, you want to have kids, you're a fucking Nazi. Why aren't you participating in the absolute demographic destruction of the native German population? Is it because you're a Nazi? This is so fucking stupid. Let's learn the politically acceptable way to manipulate your children, according to the Washington Post anyway. Parents should encourage girls to get angry and show it. Here's how. We are so busy teaching girls to be likable that we forget to teach them that they have the right to be respected, and the effects of that carry into adulthood. Women and men experience anger the same way, but men are much more likely to express that anger verbally, while women tend to keep it to themselves. In doing so, we lose our ability to defend ourselves. See, I'm not sure this is the truth. I remember reading a different study where when adult men are angry, they're more likely to express it physically, while when adult women are angry, they're more likely to express it verbally. And they don't yell at people necessarily, though they do that sometimes. And they do get physical sometimes too, but overwhelmingly women tend to spread rumors, they tend to slander, and they tend to defame people. And there is a gendered component to how boys and girls, and men and women, let off steam in this way. Well, this author is committed to changing that in her home with her girls ages 6 and 11. Here's her 6-point plan. Oh boy. 1. Share the positive power of anger. Saying, I am angry is a necessary first step to listen. Believe me. Listen and believe. Trust me. I know. Time to do something, writes the author in Rage Becomes Her. Well, here's the thing. Simply being angry does not entitle you to something. You might be angry and still be wrong. What you're feeling, thinking, and saying may matter, but it might also not be factually correct. In fact, you might be completely off base, and your anger might be completely unjustified. That's why people say facts over feels. This is a completely bullshit article, guys. Number 2, listen to your daughter. Number 3, give her a framework to express it. Number 4, start early. Number 5, help her smash the stereotypes. And 6, express your own anger directly. Here's a general rule of thumb, and it applies to people of all ages. It applies to people of all genders. If you're angry, that means that you thought something was going to turn out one way, and in fact turned out another way. Something unexpected has appeared within your field of view. And the first thing you need to do is take stock of yourself. Because sometimes your anger is because you've laid out, a road map, and now you've realized that a tree has fallen on the road, and now you have to try to find a way around it. And most of the time, rather than getting angry, you can just find a way around it. I would say overwhelmingly over the course of your life, if you're angry, there's something you can tweak within yourself that will fix it. And it might even be your fault. It's not really important to have your anger validated or whatever feely bullshit this article's talking about. What's important is what you do about it. And the first step is to always take stock of yourself. And as I said, that advice applies to all genders. All 33 of them, in fact, according to the Australian government. Omnigender, neutrois, whatever the fuck that is, and intersex. Australians to choose from 33 different gender labels for passports and birth certificates under radical new Labour proposal. I wanna see this list. I hope the list is in the article because I want to read this shit. Oh, demigender is also among the 33 labels that will be discussed at the party's upcoming national conference and could soon be seen printed on passports and birth certificates. Let's see if this link contains the list. I want to read it off right now. I've got to log in. Fuck that. The proposal argues that transgender and intersex people would be able to enjoy equal human rights without discrimination with the additional gender options. The party would also look at promoting options beyond binary male and female. And then here's a picture of someone writing in bisex as their selection. From what I know about biology, which is honestly not much, I think there's like a grand total of 12 various deformities that can happen that'll put you somewhere between male and female biologically. Various combinations of non-functioning genitals, and in fact, but these are like less than 1% of the population. Like significantly less than 1% of the fucking population. So you have, I guess, a grand total of 14 genders where most are male and female, and then an extreme minority is one of these 12 various disorders. Because transgender people, for the most part, they want to be the gender that they're choosing. They don't want to be somewhere in between. Like if it's a male to female transsexual person, they want to be female. Okay, I've got the 33 guys. Let's go through them. A woman, a man, a transgender woman, a trans person, a trans man, a trans woman. Wait, isn't that just transgender man and transgender woman, but just shortened to trans man and trans woman? Female to male, male to female, transsexual. Okay, these are just this group here are just rephrasing the exact same phenomenon. All of these ones. A cisgender person, cis female, cis male. That's just woman and man again. Gender non-conforming. Non-gender. Okay, so all right. A non-binary person. Neutrois. Neutrois is a non-binary gender identity which is considered to be a neutral or null gender. Isn't that the same thing with non-gender? Isn't that what non-gender is? Isn't that the same thing? Okay. Gender fluid. A person who does not identify entirely with either the male or female genders. Isn't that the same thing as non-binary? Gender queer. Again, it's the same description. Right? Demigender. This term, demi means half, is an umbrella term for non-binary. Okay, you're even using non-binary Something that you've already defined up here in this definition. This is this. There's a demi-girl, can also be called a demi-woman or a demi-female. And there's also a demi-boy, and they identify partially, only partially, so that's kind of like a non-binary, somewhere on the spectrum. Considering that demi means half, maybe this is just like half a person. Maybe they lost their legs in an accident or something. Here we go, we got agender. This literally means without gender. Isn't that neutrois? That's what this is, isn't it? Just no gender. You could just be agender as in a single one. Agender. Intergender. Intergender people have a gender identity that is in the middle between the binary gender. Okay, these are all rephrasing of the same thing. Like, I don't feel like a guy. I don't feel like a girl. I'm in the middle somewhere. You know, I flipped the coin and it landed on its edge. That's what all these mean. That's what all of these mean. And they're just rephrasing the same fucking concept over and over. Here's something that's actually different and has a grounding in biology. Intersex. A person who is born with the reproductive anatomy of both a man and a woman. So we're talking about deformities here. You know, there are people who are born with like a penis, but it's like non-functioning and is just a facade, right? And like underneath it you have nothing. Sometimes underneath it you have like a uterus that's like closed off. And there are also other various deformities possible. I think I mentioned earlier that it was about 12 of them that have been identified very strictly. This is where the whole idea of the fucking Japanese futanari comes from, where you get like a woman, but they have like a fully functioning penis attached to the top of their vagina where a clit would be. That type of intersex person's extremely rare, as far as I know. I guess they are like 1 in a billion, though, so I guess they're out there somewhere. These people were previously referred to as hermaphrodites, but that term is considered rude and outdated. Okay, fine. Here's something that might actually need some kind of clarification on a passport for real. You finally found one on this fucking list that is an exception to the rule. Okay. Pangender. Person who identifies as more than one gender. Okay, we're back to the bullshit. Polygender translates to many genders. A person who identifies as more than one gender. Same thing as this. Omnigender translates to all genders. A person who identifies as more than one gender. All the same thing. Bigender translates to 2 genders. A person who identifies as both male and female genders. Some bigender people have 2 distinct male and female personas. That's called like multiple personality disorder. That's having a split personality. Your problems, if you're in this camp, your problems go far beyond anything to do with gender. Androgyne, a person who doesn't identify with either gender. They are both feminine and masculine. Androgyny is just, it's the same as androgyne. They have the same root. So this is a person, and this is a quality. Third gender. I understand that some cultures do have a third gender option within them in their religious and cultural practices. And fair enough. Fine. Here you go. There's your third gender for your passport. Trigender, a person who shifts between the male, female, and third genders. Okay, so what are the actual legitimate ones on this list? Okay, let's go to the top. We got male, we got woman and man. We've got the 2 transgender possibilities where it's male to female and female to male. There's 4. You've got maybe like, we'll have like 1 for the non-gender when you just have 0 gender completely. Okay, there's 5. You've got intersex for the various deformities and various biological things that can happen. There's 6. And then you have the third gender for those cultures that have that. There's 7. Okay, I think we can work it out now. If you really want to include everything and be as logical as you can about it, 7 genders. It's more than 2, and it does cover everything, and it doesn't appeal to all these ridiculous fucking people who want to feel special about it. I do have 2 more articles left, however I'm deciding to cut it short because after reading them, I think they're actually worth their own video. So maybe I'll put that out this week sometime. Thank you very much for everyone who stuck through me over the past 2 weeks. I am very glad to be back. You're going to be seeing daily uploads from me now, hopefully. I'm going to be doing some short videos, some long videos, some Dumping with Scrumps, some political videos, some idea analysis videos. I'll be doing everything that I can to keep this channel active and running. And as usual, I stream on Twitch as well, 5 times a week. twitch.tv/GameBoomers. And I know at least a few of you decided to come over and say hi during my 2-week absence because despite all the YouTube channels being down, I was still over there. And in fact, I'll see you there again in a couple hours. I love you guys.